Hi, today I'm going to speak about selecting a Bansuri while purchasing it at the flute makers. Uh, this tutorial is specifically for people who are buying flutes from flute makers as opposed to buying them, online or even in music stores, music instrument stores, where the flute may be out of tune slightly, which most often is the case because uh, every flautist's embouchure is different, and thereby a flute maker's embouchure will decide how much in tune according to his playing the bamboo is, because it's subject to fluctuation. And if I would suggest you get to the flute maker's place to get the flutes made, or someone who's been making your flutes for a long time, who knows your positioning and your preferences in terms of pitching. So here comes the video which explains how to select a flute and how to get the tuning right while you're still at the flute maker's place, where he can adjust it for you. So a lot of people have asked me, most times some of them don't know, they come picking up some flutes, and not necessary that, and this is not against any flute maker as such, because I have tremendous respect for those people. They are creators of this instrument which we are able to express ourselves through. But not all instruments are made perfect, and especially with the bamboo flute, the bansuri, it is difficult, almost next to impossible, to achieve a perfect pitch, perfectly tuned flute. So I'm going to give an example and demonstrate how we can successfully get or fine tune a bansuri at the flute maker's place when we are still buying it. So here is an example. I have just had my friend Himanshu here help me with purchasing a flute today from the flute maker, and this was a deliberate exercise for me. I usually go there myself and fine tune it, but I wanted him to do this, so I'm going to start off with showing you how this is done. In this case, I have purchased an E flat or a D sharp, Kali Do, whatever name you want to call it, they're all the same thing. Most important thing you need to have is a tanpura, electronic tanpura. I usually rely on the iOS i tanpura, but any good tanpura, even the electronic digital boxes that you get, make sense. Even a tuning pitch machine will help, but something that will give you a consistent first and fifth, sa pa. In this case, this is the tanpura. We have pa sa sa sa. If you can hear, I can't hear. So so let's start off with D sharp, which is the key of the flute. I'll set the tanpura to D sharp, and I'm going to play just sa and pa. That sounds good to me. Now that pa is slightly flat, so we can adjust that while playing also. But one way of doing it would be to resize the hole before that, which the flute maker will let you know. And if you know the physics of how this instrument is made, it's easier for you to understand what needs to be done. But if you are already at the flute maker's place, they know the physics better than anyone else. So what cannot happen is this flanging effect, which I'm going to play and show you on the sa. If you can hear it, you need a finely trained ear to be able to hear that difference in pitch, and that needs to be really in time. And the other thing is, whatever position you keep you need to retain that position while you're doing this. I'm talking in between, so I kind of remember each position I'm playing it on. But when you're checking for the tuning, you need to keep it retain in the same position. Here, the embouchure position. Because any differential in angle of the flute at the embouchure could affect the pitching. Like so. So you need to retain that same embouchure and here for the right tuning. That sounds good to me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this same exercise with each position on the same flute. So with the sa as bass, this is the D sharp position. So if I play re, I will get F. So I'm going to, if you can see, I'm not changing my embouchure from here. So I'm going to change the tuning on the tanpura to F. So I'm going to do the same thing. If you can see, this is slightly sharp now. So what needs to be done is they will add lac or wax or whatever material they use to cover this hole up slightly, ever so slightly, to tune it back into position. So if they do that, it would be like, I'm going to slightly close this and show you. That's the right position for dha. So it's slightly sharper by that measure. And both octaves, because sometimes depending on the length of the flute, the higher octave can sound sharper or flatter than the lower octave. So that needs to be really given importance. And now I'm going to go on with the next note, which is G. So from D sharp, F, and a whole tone above that is G. So if you play a major scale from the Ga position, which is, if I play D sharp major, I'm going to get a relative minor which becomes Bhairavi. So having done that, from the G, if I go another whole tone up, I'm going to get the A note, which is the flat fifth position of D sharp. But I won't get a perfect fifth from the A note. I'll get a perfect fourth. So what I'm going to do is, instead of D sharp, instead of A, I'm going to tune it to D and try the first fifth position. So now that's slightly sharper. So slightly out of tune. But this can be repaired. The flute maker will do it. And before you actually commit to the purchase, please make sure that your tuning is perfect. You should also, you should try and cover all the 7 positions. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to do the 5th and the 6th position, 6 positions. Sorry. So like we already know, the C was slightly sharper than where it had to be. So I'm going to compensate for that, assuming that the flute maker has covered this flaw. So far so good. And then the last note is that's B flat. So there we go. So all the positions are pretty much in tune except for the Dhaivat, which is slightly sharp, and the Tivra Madhyam, which is slightly sharp again. So this needs to be followed. Thank you.